Al, we are still in the land of filler, kind of.
I mean, this is mostly in the
It's like
like.
99% filler,
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
except for the very end of the episode.
Yeah, that's fair.
But everything else, though, is still in the land of filler. Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Jared Now Watch Inuyasha. It is episode 80. I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc Al and Ladium.
Hello.
We are discussing Season 3, Episode 25, or Episode 79, entitled Jaken's Plan to Steal the Tetsusaiga. Because he's gonna do it. We kick off this episode, and Al got jump scared because Kagura shows up and then flies away.
I did get jump scared. I forgot about that.
That was definitely a thing.
Yep.
And then we cut over to Rin. She's like, I'm Rin. Oh, I'm hungry. And Sesshomaru's like, hey, if you're hungry, go get food.
Take care of
She's
yourself.
like, okay. And then Sesshomaru's like, hey, Jaken and On, go watch over her. Make sure she doesn't do anything stupid. So they all go off. They're going to get food. Jaken's not happy about it. And then he looks at the moon. He's like, oh, the Tetsaiga's now red. I need to get the Tetsaiga from Inuyasha. It's a real big bummer that he has it, not Sesshomaru. That guy's a stinker. I should take it. And then Jaken's like, hey, Rin, I'm gonna go steal the Tetsaiga and be useful to our lord.
It was so weird that he looked at the moon and like went on this whole thing while also Rin at one point's like, so what do you actually do to help him? And he's like, oh, I'll tell you everything that I do to do that. And then he just goes off on his sword tangent. So I was like, did he just stop mid-sentence of saying what he does to think about the sword? I guess he did.
It's
Because
very
she's like,
weird.
Jaken? Jaken?
So we go to the next day, and Inuyasha and the gang are playing rock paper scissors. It's a very weird version of it, where like split into groups, and if
Mm-hmm.
you win, you get further away from the other people or something. I think there's a note in here that explains how they're doing it, but for now, it's just you know whoever you win, you'd move or something.
It's so weird. And then also like they call out like move names as they're going forward.
Yeah.
Like I I think my favorite was the one that the subtitle it's Haraiko. It's Sango's move
Mm-hmm.
and the subtitles
Yelling, screaming.
no, it said here I come.
Oh, that's even worse.
I know. I was like,
Here I
that's not what she
come.
said at all.
Uh,
And I think they did the Iron Reaper one too.
yes, they did.
Yep. Yep. Moroku's
Moroku,
sad that they're losing though.
yeah, Moroku and Sangha are just losing constantly. Moroku's like, it's my hand. I can't win with his hand.
It's
And then
cursed.
he's also talking about how like Sango's losing on purpose to stay with him, and she's like, no. And then he keeps like thinking like, man, they're getting far away. We can't tell if they're cheating or not, but they can't tell if we're cheating.
Also, use your other hand, my dude.
He's like, no, this
You
is my
have
good hand.
you have two hands.
Jockin's in the bushes watching them play rock paper scissors, and he summons this demon from the ground called No Man. And he's like, "Hey, go steal Inuyasha's sword. Give me that treasure." And he's like, "All right, see ya." Makes the smoke screen, and then he steals a bunch of stuff, and he goes back to Jock and is like, "Hey, I got the treasure. Is it this?" And it's like a bunch of like Shippo's toys. He's like, "No." He's like, "Is this?" And it's like some other stuff. Like, "No." And is this? No. Is this? And it's like Kagome's pocket stuff and the jewel shards. He's like, "No, I wanted the sword." And No Man's just like, he just had a rusty thing on his. I didn't think you would want that. That looked like garbage.
These are much better
He's like,
treasures.
no, it was the Tensaiga, you idiot. So he's like, all right, I'll go get it. But this time he gets caught, and then he's taken away because the Tensaiga attacks him and everything. And they're like, all right, well, that was weird. Jockin's very upset, and he catches himself on fire and runs off a cliff like it's the Looney Tunes.
I do appreciate with No Man leaving. They're like, we're gonna let you go if you just like return the stuff. And he like lifts his shirt up and it like falls out of his belly button area. He's like, okay, bye.
See you
It's like,
later.
oh, okay.
So Jockin falls off a cliff and then has to climb back up.
Yep, very Looney
Um,
Tunes.
Yeah. Kagome hears the screams like, y'all hear something? And they're like, it was nothing.
Yep.
Ren runs up and finds Jock. He's like, "Are you doing okay?" He's like, "No, go away. I don't need you." And she's like, "Okay." And then she goes and is in a river washing on and picks some flowers. She's like, "Oh, I know what I want to do." We cut to a little bit later in the day. Jaken is now a traveling in training monk who sharpens weapons, and it's like, this is my way to get the Tetsuiga. I'll just show that I'm going to sharpen their weapons, and he'll give me the Tetsuiga. Duh. Also, he like burning incense, so he's covering his scent to
Yep.
make so Inuyasha can't smell him, which works apparently.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll offer my sharpening services for free, ho ho ho, and everyone except Inuyasha takes them up on it. So like, Kagome is like, here's some arrows. Songo's like, here's my boomerang. Moroku's like, here's my staff, and Shippo's like, here's a toy top, a spinning top, and then they just leave. And then Jaken, instead of getting mad and just like leaving it, he's like, well, if I do a really good job on this, they'll
Maybe
come back.
Inuyasha will want
and
his sword done.
Exactly. So he like works really hard on it. He's like sharpening them and everything, and he does like a really great job on it, but like passes out. And then Yasha's like, "Man, I should have done this. I should have left my sword with him. He did a really good job." And they're like, "Well, all right, we gotta go. See ya." And they like,
it's rude to wake this guy
Yeah.
up. He's tired.
they wrap him up in like the little cloth he has and put a little note on him saying thanks. And then Jock wakes up. He's like, "Where do they go? Why are they here?"
No.
So then he puts a little talisman on a rock and makes a bunch of water appear.
He does a cool dance.
He does a cool dance and then bonks it.
Yep. Bunk. Here's the water. It's a hot spring now.
Yeah, we go to the nighttime and they're setting up for camp and everything. They're like, man, my legs are spent from today. It's real tiring. And then they see this hot spring and everyone's like, oh man, what a surprise. What a relief. We can go bathe. So the girls go bathe first with Shippo, and Jaken's like, "Oh man, where's Inuyasha? Why isn't he out there? Maybe dogs don't like
hate the
dogs
bathing.
hate water."
Oh, I should have asked. Although it's so weird. I was like, why is Shippo getting to take a bath with the girls?
Because he's a small child. He's not a pervert like the other two.
Okay.
Jaken finds Inuyasha and Moroku talking, and Inuyasha's examining Moroku's staff, and he's like, man, that guy did a really good job on this. I really should have left the Tetsuiga with him. And then he's like, Jaken's like, oh, I can put my costume back on now. I'll offer my services again. And then they're like, oh, okay, well, it's time for us to go in the bath. And he's like, make up your mind. So they go into the bath, and then one of them, I think, says something about like, hey, don't look at us. And Jaken's like, oh, sorry. And then Kagome says something. He's like, oh, I guess he wasn't talking to me.
I love that part.
So Jaken runs off and finds a Tetsuiga and tries to grab it, but he gets burned because he's a demon. He's like, ow, that hurt. Oh, I'm on fire. Anyway, he's got his clothes here. I'll just wrap it up in this and just drag it with me. Sick. Also, there's a point earlier in this episode, I forgot when exactly it is, but there's a whole backstory about Jaken and why he, joined up with Sesshomaru. It's just like, man, this dude is hot.
This dude's
he
hot.
saved my life, so now I'm going to offer my services to him forever.
It was so funny because like he was in a huge battle with a bunch of his other like brethren, and Sesshomaru's like, move, you're in my way.
Move, get out of the way.
And the guy's like, no, I'm fighting these things. So he cuts his arms off.
Get out of the way.
And frees Jaken. And then Jaken's looking at him. He's like, he's beautiful. All right, I'm following that guy. Everyone's like, wait, Jaken, no.
Fend for yourselves.
I was just like, he literally just started following this dude because he's like, God, he's hot. I gotta go.
Saved my life. He's hot.
I gotta go.
See ya. But yeah, Jaken has the Tetsuiga now, and Ren runs up and has this bunch of flowers she picked for Sesshomaru, and is like, oh, hey, do you need a ride? Let's go. But the others see Ren on flying past and like, Sesshomaru, we gotta go. So Songo goes to chase after them. Jaken's gonna try and fight off Songo. He tells Ren to get away, and he gives Ren the Tetsuiga because she's a human and it won't affect her if she won't get burned or anything. So she runs away. Songo tries to fight Jaken a little bit, and then the others show up, and Inuyasha's like, where's my sword? I'm shirtless. Why is my sword here? Also, they Inuyasha and Moroku try to like get up real quickly in the hot spring and like get dizzy because they're like, oh, temperature change, oh boy. And Kagome goes to get them and just like sees Inuyasha like floating in the water and just like, oh my gosh, no.
She like says something about him like I don't know if she says he's like disgusting or something.
Like, gross, put your clothes on.
Oh,
And
gross,
Inuyasha's like,
right.
my clothes are over there. Please get them for me.
But also like nothing's showing.
I mean, to be fair, it probably would show because like he's floating and like the part that's covering him is just like very
Okay, yeah, you're right.
not deep in the water. So
You're right, you're right.
Broku's just like under the water all the way, just like
All the way under the water with bubbles. Yeah, I
So
guess TV censorship.
yeah. So Inuyasha joins up with Sango. They all join up there and they're gonna beat up Jaken. He's like, uh oh. And Rin comes back and he's like, Jaken, we gotta go, let's go. But she drops the Tetsusaiga in the process to pick him up and put him on.
Mm-hmm.
And they get away and everything. And he's like, oh, Rin, why'd you come back? And she's like, well, I was worried about you. And he's like, oh, that's nice. Wait a minute, where's the Tetsusaiga? She's like,
Oh.
uh-oh. He's like, ah! No. And then out of nowhere, Kagura shows up and is like, yoink! Taking Rin with me. See you later.
Bye.
And Jaken's like, oh, I'm going to get in so much trouble for this.
The thing that was so weird to me is that at one point, Sango's like, Kagome, you're really pale. And like my brain's like, oh, she's still like flustered because of the whole like seeing him naked thing. But it's actually that she's like flustered by the fact that like Sesshomaru is hanging out with a human.
She's like, this is very confusing. I do not understand this in the slightest.
Yeah, but yeah, Kagura's also like, ha, you dumbass, leaving your, I guess ward is the correct
I think something
word?
like that, yeah. She's like,
Um,
yoink! Vroom.
Leaving her behind. I got her now. She's mine.
See you later.
Bye.
But that's how we end the episode with Rin being kidnapped. And
I also
Jaken
thought
being
Ren
very
was trying to
sad.
eat rocks.
Yeah. Rocks.
They were melons,
Lord
apparently.
Sesshomaru said rocks are good for you. Let's talk about some notes from this episode.
Okay.
All of this episode with the last scene when Kagura kidnaps Rin is anime filler, like we said earlier.
Yep.
It's probably for the better that Jaken's plan failed. Sesshomaru had on several occasions made it clear that if he was ever going to claim the Tetsusaiga, he'd claim it personally and without resorting to trickery.
Whoops.
Oops. Inuyasha's group is unusually protective with attacking when they spot on.
Proactive.
Proactive, excuse me, yes, you're right. Believing Sesshomaru was riding on it. It was clearly flying past them. In all past encounters, Sesshomaru attacked quickly and without warning, though he had since stopped attacking them since acquiring Tokijin. The last time they met, canonically to the manga, not counting the Panther Deva filler, Sesshomaru only showed up to stop Inuyasha's rampage after his demon blood woke. And then when playing rock, paper, scissors, the following techniques were named for each treasure, but this doesn't tell us anything. It's just rock was Iron Reaver's Soul Stealer, paper was the Wind Tunnel, and scissors was the Hirai Kotsu. I think it's like, I think from what I was gathering from it is like, you would move how many syllables it was.
Oh.
Iron Reaver Soul Stealer. Something like that.
Okay.
But I don't know. They did not clearly explain this at all.
No, they did not. It was a very wild game of rock, paper,
Yes.
scissors. But you know, the parents got to bond, so.
It's true. Anyways, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Next week, we return to the plot with episode 80, entitled Sesshomaru and the Abducted Rin. I'm very curious to see how Sesshomaru is going to be like, Naraka, are you trying to around and find out? Because I will not mess around here. I'm not the person to mess with here, my dude.
Nah, he's not.
So I'm curious to see about that. And also, we get to see Rin and Sango's bro hanging out for a little bit.
Kohaku.
Yeah. So I guess that could be potentially interesting.
But Sesshomaru also has to play it cool because, like, I don't care about humans.
Oh, you don't care about humans. Also, I don't like you, Naraku, so if you steal things from me, I will beat you up.
But, like, that human, can I have that back?
Yeah. So this could be, I think there's potential interesting things to show up here in this episode.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Anyways, but yeah, we'll talk about that next week. But for now, if you'd like more from us, head on over to seasonalanimecheckup.com or sac.cool, where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Seasonal Anime Checkup OVA. You can also find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you'd like more from Anladium, go to anladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. You can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Anime Checkup, and you can buy our books, One Shiny Moment, a critical analysis of Love, Life, Sunshine, and Hot Tubs and Pac-Man on Amazon.com. So join us next week as we see how Sesshomaru deals with Naraku.
Woo!